Hello, America, and welcome to the gayest place on planet Earth, broadcast from It's Happening Out. Let's find out what's going on in the world today. We're celebrating Stonewall. We have talked in so many different ways of the exploration of gay community, and we have talked in so many ways that there were so many gay icons that should be recognized on the 50 years of getting us there. And we're now at the final moment. I'm very proud of this because I was directly involved in this. I have amazing pictures of this gay icon. I'm not going to show you a single one of them because it's not necessary. This person is so important to the gay community and the 50th anniversary of our civil rights movement that we're very proud to bring our road to Stonewall, our #1 gay icon, who turns out not to be gay. Watch this.
I have to tell you, as I said, I've been going through an evolution on this issue. I've always been adamant that gay and lesbian Americans should be treated fairly and equally. And that's why, in addition to everything we've done in this administration, rolling back Don't Ask, Don't Tell, so that outstanding Americans can serve our country, whether it's no longer defending the Defense Against Marriage Act, which tried to federalize what has historically been state law. I've stood on the side of broader equality for the LGBT community. The idea that they are going to be treated differently or abused because of who they love is wrong. It's a victory for gay and lesbian couples who have fought so long for their basic civil rights. It's a victory for their children, whose families will now be recognized as equal to any other. When all Americans are treated as equal, we are all more free. It's the story of the Stonewall protests, when a group of citizens with few options and fewer supporters stood up against discrimination and helped to inspire a movement. It's the story of an epidemic that decimated a community, and the gay men and women who came to support one another and save one another, who continue to fight this scourge, who have demonstrated before the world that different kinds of families can show the same compassion in a time of need. Nobody in America should be fired because they're gay, despite doing a great job in meeting their responsibilities. It's not fair, it's not right. We're going to put a stop to it. I've signed a memorandum requiring all agencies to extend as many federal benefits as possible to LGBT families as current law allows. And these are benefits that will make a real difference for federal employees and foreign service officers who are so often treated as if their families don't exist. I've called on Congress to repeal the so-called Defense of Marriage Act to help end discrimination against same-sex couples in this country. It's the answer spoken by young and old, rich and poor, Democrat and Republican, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, Native American, gay, straight, disabled and not disabled, Americans who send a message to the world that we have never been just a collection of individuals or a collection of red states and blue states. We are and always will be the United States of America.
Well, of course, our gay icon for our road to Stonewall is President Barack Obama. Look at this slide. I walked into our production center. Of course, I will never, dying days, my last 24 hours, I will think of that picture of the White House. That is so important and so significant to us, we cannot move beyond it. That image of his efforts of making that personal decision to do that at the White House sparked 50 major national monuments around the world to go along with him. The Eiffel Tower, the Colosseum, and on and on and on and on. Never seen before in history. I was ashamed this week as they were working on this slide, and I was seeing that image. I had forgotten the Newsweek cover.
Epic.
Newsweek makes the joke, America's first gay president. Sorry, Pete, somebody beat you to it. So, as we celebrate Stonewall this week, it is so important to us, regardless of which letter we represent in our community, it is beyond important this week. So, as always, in celebrating our road to Stonewall, we ask all of the hosts, tell us something about the recipient that's important to you and something that they said. Our final road to Stonewall, our president, President Barack Obama. And we're going to start with Andrew.
I respected the office that he held, and I was told, I looked and I looked and I couldn't decide. I had to pick one thing. I loved how he pandered to the LGBT community. He couldn't run for a third term, and I was pleased that he welcomed the Trump family to the White House in January 2017. Also, he left open 138 federal judge seats that President Trump has appointed 103 thus far to legislate the Constitution, not the bench. The quote that I picked up from President Obama was, "Every young person, no matter who they are, what they look like, what gender they are, identifies and deserves to be valued and loved for who they are."
Thank you. Carlos?
This is very personal to me because the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, made it easier for people living with HIV and AIDS to obtain Medicaid and private health insurance. For me, not HIV, but I was able to, for the first time as a struggling artist, to be able to get health insurance, people. So I am one of those peeps that have benefited from that. Obama said, a change is brought about because ordinary people do extraordinary things.
Lovely. Josie?
During the Obama administration, the U.S. Department of Health Services and 5 other federal agencies tackled bullying, specifically LGBT teen bullying. And StopBullying.gov was created. And maybe you're familiar with that one video campaign, It Gets Better. It was funded through this task force. President Obama said, "Our journey is not complete until our gay brothers and sisters are treated like anyone else under the law. For if we are truly created equal, then surely the love we commit to each other, to one another, must be equal as well."
So during Obama's presidency, the trans community actually celebrated over 150 federal policy victories that protected trans people from discrimination and violence, whether it was from federal jobs, schools, healthcare, prisons, and the military. He was also the first president to ever use the word transgender in a public speech.
Wow.
Obama said, "Change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the change that we seek."
Power.
Well, it's interesting to note that Obama's standpoint on LGBT issues actually evolved from where he started as a senator and actually 3 years into his presidency. But in February 2011, the president and the general attorney announced that the Department of Justice would no longer defend the Defense of Marriage Act's provision defining marriage as only between a man and a woman. And this led to the Supreme Court's landmark decision legalizing same-sex marriage. My quote from Obama, "I'm very proud to have fought alongside you. We've got more miles in the journey, And I'm so glad that we're going to be traveling that road together. So thank you, Obama, for fighting the fight with us.
Yeah, that's a lovely quote. I have to tell you, I don't share this story very often. Multiple encounters, obviously. A lot of work in the LGBT community after his change of heart. And we even talked about this today. What's so amazing about the president to me is when he was the president, or when he was a senator from Illinois, he did not believe in gay marriage. When he was elected president of the United States, he did not believe in gay marriage. He was elected in 2008. His efforts did not begin until 2011. Now, there can be varieties of comments about President Obama coming to it late. But I am always grateful that he came to it. Because when he came to it, and we evolve, that's why you see in a slide the White House illuminated in rainbow colors. The President of the United States does not have to say anything the President of the United States doesn't want to say. Period. The end. All stop. He made a choice, and it was magnificent for us. In every community, I do say women, Black, Latino, Jewish, religious minorities like Muslim. It takes a long time and a lot of history to reflect back to a moment to say, was this person important, and was this a big moment? And I frequently say that President Obama, 10 years from now, 50 years from now, 100 years from now, American thought, world opinion, and historians and scholars will come back and say that this person was the Abraham Lincoln of the gay community. Andrew, I'm asking you not to say another word in respect for its happening out. One other observation in terms of the Abraham Lincoln for the gay community, an interesting little anecdote that I rarely tell. The first time I met the president, I was with Chuck. And we were in an all-day strategy session about the election process and what he was going to try to help support in Florida and other places. And I sat in an all-day meeting with Chuck about planning. And at the end of the day, the president comes in and he does a speech, and then the key people in the room are going to get pictures. It's the way it works in politics. That's what everybody wants and does. And he leaves the room and he goes on to the other side of a curtain, and Chuck and I move and we're standing in line and we're talking to people. And when we turned around the corner of the curtain, what you were to do is to walk right up to the president, and you were to stand there, you were to shake his hands, and they would take official photos. We came around the corner, I walked directly to the president, I shook his hand, I said, "Mr. President," and turned around, and Chuck was gone. And Chuck was still standing at the corner when he came around, and when he came around, I will never forget this. Chuck was so starstruck, he could not walk. He couldn't move. And President Obama, with his hand still in my hand, said, "Chuck, come on over here for the picture." God's honest truth. Chuck was frozen and could not move. President Obama let go of my hand and walked 15 steps over and grabbed Chuck by the hand and said, "Come right this way." Aww. And walked him right to the picture. My last moments on this planet will be that, among things, will be that moment. He did something very personal for two gay guys. For me, he is the gay icon of Stonewall. And we're very happy to celebrate this moment. This is an important moment for all of us, and we should relish and celebrate our 50 years of our road to Stonewall. Everybody that's going to New York, leaving today, leaving tomorrow, we wish you fun, and remember, you're gathering, and all over America we will celebrate it this weekend. This is the biggest gay celebration in the history of the planet.
I've never been so homesick in my life.
Have a great time, world. It's Stonewall, and that is our gay icon of Stonewall.
Hey fashionistas, thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the little bell, ding ding, for updates. You are watching It's Happening Out.